English sentence structure is incredibly straightforward. You wait for the bus, you get on the bus, and you ride the bus. That tiny word, the, stays exactly the same. But translate that simple action into German, and the vocabulary starts to shift. The standard dictionary word for the bus is der Bus. Yet if you say, I take the bus, that word for the changes shape. It becomes ich nehme den Bus. And if you adjust your phrasing slightly to say, I travel with the bus, ich fahre mit dem Bus, it mutates once again. You have one physical object, but three different words for the. To understand why this happens, stop thinking of a German sentence as a string of words and start looking at it like a movie set. On this movie set, the main verb is the director. It has total control over everyone else in the scene. Those shape-shifting words for the are what grammarians call cases, but you can just think of them as specific costumes. The director forces nouns to wear different outfits depending entirely on their role in the action. Let's look at our first director, the verb nehmen, which means to take. Nehmen is an action movie director. It demands a direct target to receive its action. When a noun like der Bus walks onto the set, it's cast as the direct target. Der puts on a new costume, becoming den. This uniform is the accusative case, required for any noun receiving direct action. And nehmen isn't the only director who works this way. Verbs like kaufen, to buy, or brauchen, to need, run the exact same set. They all require their objects to wear the accusative costume. Identifying the direct target of the action determines the noun's entire grammatical role. You know exactly what case it needs to be in. Now, let's change the script. Instead of an action movie, we are going to shoot a buddy comedy. We bring in a new director, fahren, meaning to travel, along with its mandatory sidekick preposition, mit, meaning with. The presence of that little word mit changes the whole dynamic. The noun is no longer a target being acted upon. It is now a traveling companion. Because the role has changed, the costume has to change too. Der takes off its action gear and slips into something much more relaxed, the dative costume. Der becomes dem. This gives us our complete grammatically correct phrase, ich fahre mit dem Bus. This casting role holds up no matter what kind of vehicle you're traveling with. If you take the tram, the feminine article wears its own dative costume, making it mit der Straßenbahn. That is all the dative case really is. It is the mandatory grammatical uniform for any noun acting as a companion, a tool, or an indirect participant in your scene. There's one more cinematic scenario we need to look at, the background set. In these scenes, there is no action and there is no traveling. The verb is simply there to establish a location. German has a specific group of prepositions, like in, on, or for, called Wechselpräpositionen. They change their behavior depending on the context. When you use them to describe a purely static location, meaning you are answering the question where, they instantly demand the dative costume. Take the traditional German post office, known for its historic post horn symbol. If you are standing inside it, completely stationary, you are located in their post. The same rule applies if you are standing at a counter picking up a prescription. You aren't moving toward a new destination. You are statically located in their Apotheke. It even dictates how you talk about where you live. German streets are frequently named after historical figures like Goethe. So if your apartment is located there, you live in their Goethestrasse. Distinguishing between movement and location is the pivot point. The moment you realize your sentence is answering the question where instead of where to, you know it's time to bring out the dative costume. Look at the two structures side by side. Ich nehme den Bus. Ich fahre mit dem Bus. The math of the grammar is precise, and it all traces back to the verb. German sentence structure is a perfectly choreographed interaction, dictated from the top down by the director you put in the chair. And here is a secret that should lower your blood pressure immediately. Even native German speakers sometimes cast nouns in the wrong costume during fast-paced conversation. Your ultimate goal is communication. If an actor walks onto your set wearing an accusative headband instead of a dative sweater, the audience is still going to understand the movie. So the next time you learn a new German verb, don't just memorize it as a vocabulary word. Look at it as a director and figure out exactly how it prefers to cast its actors.